You didn't take revenge after the betrayal, and somehow that became the lesson they never forgot. While they expected your anger, your downfall, or your retaliation, you gave them silence, growth, and distance instead. Have you ever watched someone hurt you so deeply that every part of you wanted justice? Not because you were cruel, not because you wanted to destroy them, but because you wanted them to feel what they made you feel. Maybe they lied. Maybe they abandoned you. Maybe they chose someone else after promising they never would. And for a while, it seemed like they escaped without consequences. They laughed. They moved on. They acted as if your pain was insignificant. Meanwhile, you were left alone with questions that echoed through sleepless nights. Why did this happen? Why do good people suffer while dishonest people seem to win? Why does betrayal often look victorious in the beginning? But here is the strange truth nobody talks about. The deepest lesson is rarely taught by revenge. It is taught by what happens when the wounded person refuses to become what hurt them. Because revenge gives a betrayer a story. Your healing gives them a mirror, and mirrors are far more terrifying. Tonight, we're going to explore a psychological truth that philosophers, spiritual teachers, and life itself have been whispering for centuries. Sometimes the greatest consequence for those who betrayed you is not watching you suffer. It's watching you become someone they can never reach again. And by the end of this video, you may realize that the chapter you thought was your defeat was actually the beginning of their lesson. Part 1. The revenge they expected never came. Most betrayers prepare themselves for a reaction. In fact, many of them secretly expect it. They expect angry messages. They expect public arguments. They expect endless attempts to prove who was right and who was wrong. Why? Because conflict keeps them connected to the person they hurt. As long as you're fighting them, they still occupy space in your life. As long as you're chasing explanations, they remain important. But something unexpected happens when you choose another path. You leave. Not dramatically, not with a grand speech, not with threats. You simply walk away and begin rebuilding. At first, they barely notice. Their ego interprets your silence as weakness. They think they won, and this is where many people become impatient, because healing looks invisible in the beginning. It's similar to planting a tree. For months, nothing seems to happen above the soil, but beneath the surface, roots are spreading, strength is forming, foundations are being built. The ancient philosopher Lao Tzu once suggested that nature never hurries, yet everything is accomplished. Healing works the same way. The person who betrayed you often expects immediate consequences, but life rarely works on human schedules. While they're celebrating a temporary victory, you're quietly becoming stronger, learning boundaries, learning self-respect, learning what you will never tolerate again. And without realizing it, the betrayer begins facing something they never anticipated. Your absence, not your anger, not your revenge. Your absence, the absence of your attention, the absence of your trust, the absence of the version of you that once loved them without hesitation. And sometimes that absence becomes louder than any revenge ever could, because for the first time, they are forced to sit alone with the consequences of their own choices. Part 2. They lost access to the person who saw the best in them. There is something few people understand about betrayal. When someone hurts you, they don't just lose a relationship, they lose access to a certain kind of love, a certain kind of trust, a certain kind of belief. And many betrayers don't realize what they've lost until much later, because human beings are strange. We often notice value only after it disappears. Imagine a traveler crossing a desert. While walking beside a well every day, he barely notices it. He assumes the water will always be there, but the moment the well disappears, thirst suddenly teaches him its worth. Many people treat loyal hearts the same way. While your kindness was available, they overlooked it. While your patience existed, they took it for granted. While your forgiveness remained open, they assumed it would never close. Then one day, it did. Not because you became cruel, not because you stopped caring, but because wisdom finally replaced attachment. Carl Jung once observed that people will do almost anything to avoid confronting themselves, and betrayal often begins there. Instead of facing their insecurities, they project them. Instead of communicating honestly, they deceive. Instead of taking responsibility, they escape. For a while, this strategy seems successful, but eventually reality catches up, because every person carries an invisible memory of how they were loved. Years later, a song may remind them, a quiet evening may remind them, a difficult relationship may remind them, and suddenly they remember the person who genuinely cared. The person who stood beside them before the masks came off, the person who believed in them even during their worst moments. You. The irony is painful. When you loved them, they couldn't fully appreciate it. When they finally understand it, you're no longer standing there. And that's where the lesson begins. Not through punishment, not through revenge, but through realization. A realization that some doors don't close with anger, they close with growth. And once growth closes a door, it rarely opens the same way again. The deepest consequence of betrayal is often discovering that the person you lost was far more valuable than your ego allowed you to see. And by the time that understanding arrives, the opportunity is already gone. Part 3. Your healing became the mirror they couldn't escape. One of the most misunderstood truths about betrayal is this: people often believe their actions are justified as long as they never have to face the consequences, as long as nobody holds them accountable, as long as life keeps moving, as long as the person they hurt stays broken. But something unexpected happens when the wounded person begins to heal. Your healing becomes a mirror, and mirrors reveal things people spend years trying to hide. Think about it. When you were devastated, the betrayer could tell themselves a story. Maybe they convinced themselves that you were the problem. Maybe they blamed your sensitivity. Maybe they painted themselves as the victim. But stories become difficult to maintain when the person they damaged starts thriving. When they see you rebuilding your confidence, when they see you smiling without them, when they see you creating a meaningful life beyond the pain they caused, suddenly their narrative begins to crack. Because if you were truly the problem, why are you growing? If they were truly justified, why does your absence still haunt them? This is why some people become strangely uncomfortable when they see the people they hurt doing well. Not because they hate success, but because success challenges the excuses they once used to protect themselves. The philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche wrote, "No price is too high to pay for the privilege of owning yourself." And ownership is exactly what healing gives you. You stop seeking permission, you stop waiting for apologies, you stop needing validation from the very people who failed to value you, and in doing so, you reclaim something priceless: your identity, your peace, your future. The betrayer may never admit this openly, most never do. But deep down, many recognize a difficult truth. The person they expected to destroy became stronger. The person they expected to chase closure created it themselves. The person they expected to remain wounded transformed the wound into wisdom. And there is something profoundly unsettling about witnessing that transformation. Because every step you take toward healing silently asks a question. If I could rise after everything you did, what does that say about the choices you made? That question follows people longer than any revenge ever could. Because unlike anger, it cannot be argued with. And unlike punishment, it cannot be escaped. It simply exists, like a mirror, waiting. Part 4. The lesson was never for them. It was for you. For a long time, you may have believed the story was about them, their lies, their choices, their betrayal, their consequences, and that's understandable. When someone wounds you deeply, your mind naturally circles around the person who caused the pain. You replay conversations, you revisit memories, you imagine different endings, you wonder whether they will ever understand what they did. But life has a strange way of revealing a deeper truth. The longer you heal, the less the story becomes about them, and the more it becomes about you. Because betrayal does something that comfort never can. It forces a transformation. Not a transformation you asked for, not a transformation you deserved, but a transformation that changes you forever. The Japanese art of kintsugi repairs broken pottery with gold. Instead of hiding the cracks, it highlights them. The fractures become part of the beauty. Human beings are often the same. The deepest wounds can become the places where wisdom enters, the places where boundaries are born, the places where self-respect finally takes root. Before the betrayal, perhaps you gave too much. Perhaps you ignored warning signs. Perhaps you sacrificed your peace to keep someone else comfortable. And maybe you believed that love required endless tolerance. But pain became a teacher, a difficult teacher, a ruthless teacher, yet a teacher nonetheless. You learned that kindness without boundaries becomes self-abandonment. You learned that trust must be earned, not freely handed to everyone. You learned that walking away can be an act of self-respect, not selfishness. This is why the ancient Stoics spoke so often about adversity, not because suffering is good, but because suffering reveals what comfort conceals. It shows you your strength. It exposes your values. It teaches you who you truly are when life becomes difficult. And one day, often when you least expect it, something remarkable happens. You stop wondering whether they regret it. You stop wondering whether karma found them. You stop wondering whether justice arrived, because your attention has moved elsewhere, toward your future, toward your purpose, toward your peace. And in that moment, you realize something profound. The lesson was never their punishment. The lesson was your awakening. The betrayal that once felt like an ending became a doorway. The heartbreak that once felt unbearable became a source of wisdom. The wound that once defined your life became a chapter, not the entire story. And perhaps that is life's greatest irony. The people who hurt you often believe they are taking something away, but sometimes, through pain, they unknowingly push you toward the person you were always meant to become. Not bitter, not revengeful, not broken, but stronger, wiser, more awake, more whole. So if someone betrayed you, if they lied, if they abandoned you, if they walked away as though your loyalty meant nothing, remember this: you do not have to revenge every wound. You do not have to prove your value to those who failed to recognize it. You do not have to carry anger forever in order to honor your pain. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is heal, because healing is not surrender. Healing is transformation. And transformation is something no betrayer can control. Years from now, they may remember what they lost, or they may not. Life will decide that part. But your responsibility is not managing their lesson. Your responsibility is becoming your own. As the philosopher Marcus Aurelius taught, the best revenge is not to become like the person who harmed you. And perhaps that is the deepest truth of all. You didn't take revenge after the betrayal. You chose growth, you chose peace, you chose yourself. And somewhere along the way, that became the lesson they could never forget.